Hey guys, how's it going? It is May 18th, 2020. Just winding things down for the evening and just want to give you an update on what's happening. So, yeah, I was trying to do an expansion, got distracted a little bit this afternoon with my son, but so the reason why expansion is something that I'm looking at this early is because of really what I have to get into or deal with. There's a few things that come to mind. The expanding on a flat surface, as we're seeing now, or as I'm starting to realize, is much easier. But getting it to the point where that I getting it to a point where I can run a fair distance, or at least get to an intermediate yard, or make some type of transportation movement, I guess, or getting the trains to basically do something is going to become important. Now, once all of Niagara's in, yeah, there's going to be tons of things to do, despite, you know, traffic levels that aren't as high as say a Hamilton or somewhere closer to Toronto. But what will happen is eventually I'll get in a situation where I'll have more than 24 hours to do in 24 hours, which would require AI. Toronto is a bit of a Toronto's an easy one that I could be lazy, and not so much lazy, but I can try out a lot of things, and I could potentially create the trains now. That would have worked fine if I was going to switch the yard entirely, but I really don't know if I want to do that. Now, one thing that I do possibly want to do is actually use a hump. It gives me a time where I can lay back, but I can also use those AI functions at any time, really, if I want to. All I have to do is have certain tasks that are AI capable, and the system will be able to do it. It should have no problem. It's just going to be the manual switching that's going to require some human intervention. I could, in theory, I could basically do the manual switching, at least the ones that randomly change, and then hand it over to the AI and act as a what do you call it? What's the term I'm looking for here? Utility conductor, as I like to. Back in the Run 8 days, I used to like using the term. So I'd be a dispatcher and a utility conductor. But that's something that I'm certainly looking into. So I'm kind of in a holding pattern of sorts, because there's a lot of information, a lot of feedback that's coming, but I also need a lot of prerequisites before those things take into place. Of course, they take time. Now, I could have done it today, but I decided, I'm just going to relax this evening, get lazy, and that's what I did. I kind of relaxed a little bit. I haven't really done anything to as far as you know trains goes this evening. That's for sure. Which is fine. I was gonna do it for a while. Then I decided to I for some reason I felt like taking a nap, which is very bizarre considering the fact that I slept in. So I just went with it, and I'm still feel as though I should be able to sleep tonight. And if I don't, if I wake up early or whatever, then I'll have some ammunition in the morning. Now, what I did manage to do was I was able to get some of the videos from that last series I was doing, that YouTube series that I did from last week. So I've got all of last week's videos up now. The reason why I say that is because my son and I were going through the videos, and we were tracking the car movements. that's going to be before I even consider getting into a car control system. I have to think about that. The other thing that I'm learning too, I was looking in a little bit of the scripts, and that's where, once I start looking into some of the scripts, it's kind of like, okay, do I want to do this right now, or do I want to relax? So alternatively, I don't really want to program or script or code or do any of that stuff if I don't have to. But ultimately, I will. Um, but the good part about this is something that I'm going to develop slowly, anyways. Now, what I looked at was interesting because I was going to change like I started looking at the advice I was seeing and some of the recommendations of various things for various people's situations, and I realized that depending upon the version you're running, it really changes the dynamic of how the system works. It will work in 19, or at least that's what I'm under the impression, but I'm not sure if it'll work 100%. And even if it does, suddenly you're now, I don't know what to expect when it does work, and I don't know how much control I'll have and really how much I'm going to have, because really at this point the only thing I have is that I can see happening is creating trains out of Toronto that would generate waybills for local and other places to go. The only industries I have right now is, well, and I don't even have them in yet, would be, even though I have a bunch in Toronto for staging purposes, the only ones I would have is oxyvinyl. Once I get into that, that's it. Then I'm just running trains through. I'm running trains basically on the other side, over into the other portals basically. And even if I extend the main line, I'm doing the same as well. So that's now going to be really interesting as far as expansion goes. Do I want to, how fast and how far do I want to expand? And do I just want to go ahead and build the line as far as I can, so that I have something to run trains on. I have something to do operations on. So I'm thinking about that, and the next set of industries would be Southern Yard, which isn't too far away, but it's still going to take a good, I would say, 8 panels to get that far south. I'm being conservative because I'm going to have to go a little bit right as well. So it's probably going to take me more like 20 panels. So I'm going to have to almost double the amount of panels to get to where I need to go, which is okay. It's not. It's not. It takes a while. It's a little bit of work, but it's okay to get there. But that only gets me to Southern Yard, and it gets me to what I call well and pipe. I don't know what the name of it. I always forget what it's called, well and tubes or whatever. But so that's another set of industries. It also brings into play an interchange with CP, although I don't know too much about that. Now, by next Monday, the U.S. holiday, I'm going to be able to do a little bit more research on the locals again in this area and see what they're up to. One thing that I'm looking at is what the current local is doing. I used to be able to follow that all the time, but I haven't seen that. I don't think it runs on weekends anymore because I haven't been able to catch it. And if it does run, it runs at night. So I want to see what's going on with that particular train and find out what's happening. That's gonna basically tell me a lot as far as where I can go from here. The number of panels that I'm looking at ultimately, I think, is going to be somewhere around 100. I think. I don't quote me on that one. I'm just taking a pretty good guess right now. I'm already at I think I'm at about 8 to 10. So nah, it's probably going to be there's going to be a lot of areas where it's just going to be straight out, but then there's going to be panels above and below. So um, I think I should start doing at least 2 panels wide in certain areas, or at least doubling up, and then seeing just to give it a little bit more of a horizon that I can put scenery or whatever, or a little bit of hills before I get into the distant terrain. But yeah, I see that coming into play. Um, about 100. It's a lot. It's going to be quite a bit to do. I'm learning with the challenges now with having the maps. And my son predicted it. He was the one that said, "Yeah, you're going to run into troubles." And like, sure enough, yeah, it's a lot more difficult, and it is a lot more difficult than I originally anticipated, because now I have to go in and find a way to turn off the layer and turn it back on again. F9 isn't working the way I thought it was going to, so that's going to be challenging. But we'll see. I got a few ideas and a few tricks that I might try to get it to work, but we'll see. But until then, I mean, just expanding on a flat terrain is fine by me. I'll deal with the hills as they come, and then fine tune them later as I'm putting in the scenery. So that's not a big deal. I'm not worried too much about that. I want to get the operation in. To get the operation, or the bulk of the operation, though, it's the southern part of Niagara. So working my way south is probably the best bet. So I am going to continue to do that, but I'm also going to gather information. The other thing that I'm looking at doing, of course, is in gathering that information, is trying some of my own ideas for car forwarding. If I can get the car forwarding either to work with CMTM, which I'm finding out does not necessarily work with QuickDrive, something I'd like to use, but if I can get it to work with it, then I think it's probably just a session. That's probably what it's going to wind up being, which is fine. I can run a session, but trying to get it to run in the way I want it to run it will be interesting, to say the least. I know of at least one other industry in Fort Erie now that's somewhat operational, which is good. But there's not really that much as far as industry wise. It's just mainly mainline. The whole trick is to get it to Fort Erie. Then all I have to do from there is get it across the river in Buffalo over into staging for both NS, and probably a small little staging siding at the very least for CSX, so that I can drop off cars and pick up another string and return with the same power. That's what I'm looking at doing there. Fort Erie, I would have the yard so that NS can come across, do the interchange. I can also have temporary portal for the interchange with CP, which would facilitate Trillium. I think I'm going to put in a temporary crossover and siding along the CP line going underneath. So that's going to be the next challenge, is getting that done. I'm probably going to do it with a staging at first, and then I'll work my way at least getting that level down, so that I can get the grade going down underneath to the town line tunnel that goes underneath the canal. And that's probably where I'm going to put the ultimate staging for now. Eventually that'll lead to come back up to the other side of the canal, and that'll lead to both the continuation of CP's main line west towards Hamilton, as well as Trillium. I don't know how far I'm going to push CP. I may just put a staging loop and have trains come in and out and not worry about the industries so much. I might not even bother with CP. That'll probably be one of the last things I do. But Port Colborne Harbor is certainly something that I may not do right away, but eventually I want to. It'll be part of it because it's going to interact with the canal, and it's going to be part of uh, the west side of the canal, which will interact into St. Catharines as well, and the Grimsby sub's going to cross there, which is going to be modeled, and I'm going to have the line head all the way up into the Grimsby area at least, and then that's where I'm going to end the main line from there. I'm not gonna go any further than that. So I don't need to go any further than that. That ultimately, once I make it to Fort Erie, that should give me a good 30 minutes of travel one way. Actually, yeah, it'll give me about 30 minutes of travel one way. If I was to continue the Grimsby sub, or the Stanford and the Grimsby sub, it'll probably give me at least another 30 minutes going on the north side. Not counting the switching, that's going to take, no matter how it's blocked or whatever, that's still going to require a little bit of work to switch that out. At least a half an hour or more. They seem to take about an hour or so to do it. But again, I'm not. I still have to go through the data to find out how well blocked these trains are. I'm not sure. There's a lift in Hamilton as well, so I don't know if they incorporate that lift inside it or they mix it or what they do. I'll have to look at the data to see what happens, but that's something my son and I will probably do, and that'll work out okay, I think. Once we get, if I incorporate Trillium, that is definitely probably going to be, mainline wise, we're talking 1 to 2 hours. Maybe one. If I continue and do Port Maitland on the CP, that's definitely another 45 minutes of running a local out to Port Maitland, plus nice size industries, two industries out there. Smithville on the CP, that would probably be the end of the line I would do for CP. That would also give me at least another industry, and if I wanted to do CP Welland Yard, which I don't know too much about, I could also do the CP line heading into Niagara Falls. That would give me probably another half hour of mainline run, including, and we're not talking mainline, more like a branch line, or it's only going to require, only the locals going to go down there, but that'll give me a good half hour from Welland, and the local over there probably another 15 to 20 minute run to Chippewa branch if I'm going to have any industries active on there. I'm not too sure if I will or not. I don't even know if it is active anymore. I haven't seen anything down there for a while, so I don't even know if I'm going to bother modeling it. Again, I don't know if I'm going to even bother modeling CP. I just want to take it in stride, see what happens, and go from there. But definitely, I want to add a little bit more to make it something that I can do for the 24. That's why I kind of wanted to do Toronto, because I thought if I stage an area and I'm able to build trains, maybe I can come up with my own system. So that's another thing I'm thinking about doing as well, is if I have a staging, maybe I come up with my own system. So I'm not sure about that, but at least as a thought. But I still have to think about it. It's one of those things where I still have to think about it. What do I have to do? How am I going to do it? I'm learning so much right now, and I'd hate to go too far, like I did with Toronto, and do all that stuff, and then maybe I shouldn't have done that or pushed so far. So I'm kind of waiting to see and trying to learn as much as I can, but not spend all my time learning, because that's just boring, especially on a weekend. I like to relax a little bit, especially a long weekend for me. So long weekend this weekend, long weekend next weekend, and hopefully I'll get some information. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night. I was gonna do something tonight, but I just ran out of time and got lazy. So but them's the ways things work. So hopefully I'll get some more of the videos up too of the trains that we got this weekend. We got lots of very high definition data of the trains, so I'm looking forward to that. So we got a lot to do, at least on Tuesday and Thursday. My son and I will have quite a bit to do. Wednesday, I'm trying to think now. Wednesday, I'm not sure. I'll have a lot of time, but I'm not too sure what I'm doing with it Wednesday. But probably going to have something, I would imagine. But Tuesday and Thursday is going to be the big days, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But, anyways, I'm going to hit the snooze and call it the night. So it's 11:07 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to call it the night now. And yeah, that's all I got at the moment. So I'm having a lot of fun. There's a lot of potential. There's optimism. Then there's times where I come into something where it's going to take a little bit more effort, which is okay. That's just the way things go. But I see a lot of potential, so that's always the good thing. So yeah, we should have some more tomorrow. Should have more. If we're not expanding, we will be going through some of the data, and then hopefully that'll give me enough motivation to at least start something, because I'd like to start running some of the trains again as well, now that we're getting some of the stuff down. But give myself a little bit of a mainline run would be really nice. So I think he's into expanding it. I'm into expanding as well. He always likes that part. So, and a lot of it, moving, other than Southern Yard and Fort Erie, a lot of it is just going to be mostly mainline and straight at that. So once we get the baseboards down, I think I'm going to have to go too wide, unfortunately, because it's right around a side right now where I have to. I'm not too worried about having the extra boards off the side. I just want to have the line down. I'm not worried about how it looks yet. I just want to have the main line there so I can run it. It's kind of like running on cardboard, except it's got the, I'd have the crossings and all that. But I have to go probably at least too wide for a little bit coming up, and then I may go too wide coming down, but we'll see. If I can go too wide all the way, I'll go too wide all the way. It's just as easy to get it done now and do too wide, because it's much easier for me to do inside Google Earth. So anyways, I'm yapping too much. I'm going to bed. Have a good one, guys. We'll talk to you later.